Welcome to What Do You Say, the podcast that peels back the layers of remarkable individuals to reveal their extraordinary sides and their incredible lives. I'm your host, Frank Termini, and I'm absolutely thrilled to embark on this journey with you. The podcast name's What Do You Say, but that's not how it's said.
How do you say it?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
You got it. We say.
Hey.
So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I say Ponch on the radio.
Absolutely. Hi.
So,
Brother, it's good to see you first and foremost.
absolutely. Yeah, good to reconnect, man.
Yes.
Good to reconnect. And here, started out on Mix 93.3. That was like, how long ago was that?
2000.
Is that when you stopped?
No, that's when I started. January
Really?
of 2000 is
Why
when
did I think it was all through my high school age?
It seems that way. It seems that way. But yeah, I got here. It's weird because I got here the weekend. And I'm not trying to be a downer, but I'll never forget it. When I moved to Kansas City, I had a U-Haul truck. I had my car behind me. I didn't know anybody here. No one. I took this job and I got here. And I was staying at the Embassy Suites, and there's a little place over on Southwest Traffic Way that I put all my stuff in storage. It started to snow, and then I got to Embassy Suites and got myself in the room, and everyone's in the bar and everyone was crying. I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, that was the weekend that Derek Thomas
got in the car wreck.
Yeah. That's when he got in the car wreck.
Yeah.
So that was
it was Super Bowl Sunday.
That was my first week of playoff. It was a Super Bowl or playoff. I think it was playoffs.
Was it playoffs? Why
I think it was playoffs because he was on his
way.
way to St. Louis.
Okay.
I think, and there's a real bad storm. So that was my first weekend in Kansas City.
That's when I started wearing my seatbelt.
Yep.
I never wore a seatbelt before that.
Same. Never wore a seatbelt.
Never wore a seatbelt.
Never. And after that, I've never gone without it.
Yeah.
So that's when I got here, 2000. I've been in radio since 91. I've traveled all over.
Where were you originally from?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. And then, okay, so let's talk about this since we started there. Because in the questionnaire, you indicated a pretty turbulent upbringing and you moved out at 15.
Correct.
What talk to me about it? What was going on?
Well, it was a very turbulent, like you said, upbringing. And I'm going to say part of it, and these are things that I've said publicly, and there are still some people alive that I'll hold on to some things, and I'll wait until they're not. But it was a very rough childhood. The place I went to school was very rough, and growing up, I was the eldest of 3 kids. I had 2 sisters, and we'll just say that my parents had a gambling habit and left us.
Oh, dude, that's a Flash Gordon here.
Love that.
Thank
that was
you.
fast.
How about that? Oh my God.
I could have used that when I was a kid. No, but they had a gambling habit, so I basically raised my sisters. Well, I'd get them to do homework and get them to bed and do that whole deal. And at 15, I ended up dropping out of high school and started getting jobs, and I just had realized at that point that I did not want to end up the way it was going with my parents. And so I moved out. I ended up moving in I slept on a buddy's couch, moved in with my girlfriend and become my wife later. And I just continued to work.
That gambling is a son of a bitch.
And you know what's fucked up about it? It was bingo.
What?
Yeah. It was bingo. It's not like the casino in Oklahoma at that time. There was really no casinos. It was bingo. So bingo took a lot of the money and caused a lot of turbulence.
Listen, I remember watching a documentary. So, like, have you seen the movie Goodfellas?
Of course.
Okay, they made it sound like Robert De Niro's character, Jimmy Burke.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, his name was Jimmy Conway, but in the book, his real name was Jimmy Burke. They made it sound like he was the guy that came up for the Lufthansa heist. It wasn't him. It was another guy, and he had tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of money. And he blew it all gambling.
Yeah.
And he made the comment he would rather be addicted to heroin than gambling. And you know what? I mean, that it people don't realize it's terrible.
It is. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I have that tendency and I have a little bit of that bug. But, I mean, it's not something I had to go get help for. I just, you know, there was a point to where I was just like, yeah, that's the whole lure of it, right? Is because you get those big wins and it's like, oh, my God.
I got to say,
I'm going to do this again and again and again and again.
Do not give a shit about gambling.
No.
I have been addicted to just about everything.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I can go to Vegas with my wife. I bet you the last 5 times me and my wife have been to Vegas, I haven't spent a total of an hour collectively at a table. Gambling at all.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all, man.
I don't do it.
I don't understand it.
I don't gamble. I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because this is something my dad told me. I'll never forget it. He said, if you go and gamble, and let's say you win 10 grand.
Right.
Does it change your lifestyle at all?
Not really.
No. But if you go lose 500, it fucking kills you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like, there's the risk reward.
Right. But when you're in it, you're chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
You're chasing that first time. It's like drugs. You're chasing that first time that you get a hand pay. Let's just say a hand pay, right? Playing video poker. That was my thing. Love video poker. I play video poker and you get a hand pay for $2 grand. You're like, my God, this is free money. Yeah. I mean, and it's video poker, so I must have a talent for it.
Right.
I can do this again. And there were instances to where there was one night where I hit 3-4 jackpots in a row. Same machine. And even the casino was like, this is unheard of. And in my head, it was like, well, I just must know how to play video poker. You know, and you're walking away with thousands and thousands of dollars of free money. Now, a smart person that doesn't have an addictive personality is going to be like, I just won thousands of dollars. You know what? I'm going to take all this money and put it in the bank, and I'm going to do this. And yeah, I got my house painted, and I did that. But
gamblers don't do that.
But no, I did that. But the next day I went back, and I was like, well, I'm going to hit him again. And I'm like, oh, that didn't work. Well, I'm going to go down the road to the next one, and that'll work, and that'll work, and that'll work. And then you're just like, well, Jesus Christ, I just blew $3 grand, $4 grand on what? Right? So I just simply don't go.
I don't enjoy it.
I just don't go anymore.
I never go to the casinos. I don't even go to eat.
Right.
I just don't enjoy going.
Nah, I miss the buffet.
Yeah, they used to have that one Argosy. Oh, man, it was good.
Fam, that was the buffet. And it's closed and
the
it'll be gone
shrimp
forever.
And the
crab legs.
Oh,
yeah. It was so good.
It was so good.
It
was so good.
But absolutely. I just don't go to casinos anymore. It's just, you know.
So
I have a completely different mindset on life and how I live. So that's just not a part of
at 15, where'd you go?
Like I said, I was working at a place called Taco Mayo, and it's a franchise of taco places in the South and Southwest. And I worked there, and the assistant manager was my friend, and I slept on his couch for a little while. That was it. I left. It was a very. Again, I'll say this: it was physically and emotionally abusive, and heavy on both. Really, really heavy on both. And I took the brunt of that abuse purposely.
You have younger siblings?
Yes.
Yeah.
To protect my sisters.
Yeah.
And I felt an incredible amount of guilt after I left because I abandoned them. In my head, I felt. But in hindsight, I would be dead today if I would have stayed, or I certainly wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
I would have continued the pattern of all of that abusive behavior. And, look, I'm less harsh on my father who's passed and my mother who's still alive because honestly, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And they did the best with what tools they had, and they did the best with how their parents fucked them up. Right? So now
it's generational.
Yes. So I have that perspective of like, all right.
But then you can break it.
Yeah. They could have done something. They could have gotten help, but they didn't, and they chose not to, or maybe they didn't know how. Maybe they didn't know how. They didn't know how. It. Now, do I choose to have a relationship with some of those living relatives now? No, I don't. I choose that. And I don't want one.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
And I don't want one at all. And I look at family is not necessarily blood. It are the people that love you
That
and
love
take
you
care
and
of
that
you.
and that look for you and that
Right.
are there when you need them and you're there for them when they
Correct.
need you.
When the chips are down.
Yeah.
We go back to gambling. It's when the chips are down, the people that will be there for you, and not when, and that's happened too. It's like, oh, how proud we are of you that and all the while it was just like, you're not going to be shit. You're a piece of shit. And, you get called piece of shit, dickhead every day.
You're going to be a piece of shit and a dickhead for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
You start to believe it.
Yeah.
And it takes you years. It took me years to start digging. I mean, until recently, I started getting into that because I just buried it. Because I started having kids at 20. I got married at 19. I didn't have time to deal with emotion.
Yeah, you had to worry about your kids.
I had to work. And I knew that because I didn't graduate high school. I wasn't going to college. That just wasn't my thing anyway. I needed to hustle, and I didn't have time to be emotional about anything.
So where'd you go after the, was it a taco restaurant you said?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go after that?
I ended up, I was doing 3 shifts at the taco place. So I get there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I work until 2 in the morning. So I was taking, remember White Crosses, Trucker Speed,
okay,
ephedrine.
Right. Oh, there you are. All right.
You could get them. They're illegal now, or I guess they're in, Zyrtec or whatever. You have to show your lights. Yeah. So I'd take those and drink Mountain Dew and just be wired. I might as well have just been snorting the equivalent of Adderall back then, but worse.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I couldn't go to sleep, and I'd listen to the radio, and I would call the radio station, do voices and little things, and then finally, the guy was like, "Hey, are you done fucking around? You want to come up and interview? Maybe you can come up and be an intern." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." I got a ride up there and did, and they're like, "Hey, you're going to be the intern."
This is in Oklahoma still.
It's in Oklahoma City, and you'll be the intern, and you'll be the producer of the night show. Now, I didn't know what that meant, but it sounded great. So I went to the taco place and quit. It was an unpaid internship. It was an unpaid producer job. It was just to go and pull CDs then for the DJs and go get them food and all of that. And I ended up being homeless for a little while. And I slept at the radio station for a little while. And no one knew, but I was there. And my first wife, God bless her, it was turbulent then because we were young. So it was like I was in and I was out, in, out, da-da-da-da. But when we were not together, I would sleep at the radio station. Then finally they're like, "Are you living here?" I'm like, kinda. But the blessing of that is I learned every facet about the business because I was there all of the time. And they happened to give me free CDs and free concert tickets, and I'd take those and go down to the bar downstairs and trade the manager for food and beers and drinks. So my food was taken care of. My drinks were taken care of. And then the other DJs, they kind of looked after me, and they didn't know I was homeless necessarily, but I was like, "Hey, we're going to go to the club tonight. You mind if I shower at your place?" "Ah, yeah, cool." So it was just
you were able to stay under the radar.
Yeah, until I wasn't. So and I was 17 at that point.
So you're 17 years old and you know all the facets of that business.
I started. That's when I started to at 17 years old. And that was a time to where you could be an intern without getting college credit. Now you have to have some sort of college credit because interns were taken advantage of. You know what I mean? It's like, you do whatever we say or you're not going to get in the business. That's what they said. You want to be here or not?
Basically cheap labor.
Free
labor. Yeah.
Free. So, yeah.
So how long did you do that before you finally got a paying job on the radio?
For about, I started picking up little bitty shifts for them, probably 6 months in, but minimum wage, and it's fine for me.
So did you go back to the taco place?
No.
What did you do for money then?
That was it.
You just did that.
And then I ended up working in a couple of bars. I DJ'd. I was a bouncer at an urban club and DJ, bartender. One of our guys got shot. It was a very violent existence. I DJ'd with my friend who lives in the city at a strip bar a couple of days. We were DJs there. So it was just a cash kind of hustle business. Also, statute limitations. All right, great. I was in charge at the radio station of ordering CDs from the record company to give away. So they'd say, hey, order a case of Dr. Dre, The Chronic, because we want those for giveaways. And I'm like, you got it. And I get my little piece of paper and write 4 cases. And I was the guy that when it got delivered, I'd take up the 1 case and go, here's the 1 case of CDs. And I'd take the other 3 and I'd go sell them in the hood for $5 a piece.
Nice.
And the same with concert tickets. Because I would help them take the concert tickets down to the front desk or whatever. And they were like, do you want some? Or I'd pocket some and then sell those.
You had tickets to everyone.
Yeah. Back then, yeah.
You could make a good penny on tickets, though.
I did all right.
Yeah.
I did all right. I bought my first computer. Was able to survive.
And then how old were you when you moved to Kansas City? How'd they find you? How'd Mix 93.3 find you?
I was, because the guy that gave me the job there in Oklahoma City was Rocket, who's here.
Is he still here?
He is.
Is he on the radio still?
Yeah, I think so.
We
haven't talked in a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, I worked with him. He gave me a job, and then we both moved off to different places, and they were hiring here, and they wanted a third person. And I believe he was in Virginia Beach, and I was in Jackson, Mississippi at the time, and came and interviewed, and packed up a U-Haul with 3 little kids, and the end of 1999, and then got here in 2000, and then started. And I think you love this. My base salary, I quit my job in Jackson, and I was making pretty decent money for it, but it was horrible living there. Sorry, Jackson, Mississippi, but then it sucked. I don't know what it's like now. It's not good, especially to raise kids. But my base salary when I got here was $25,000 a year. With 3 kids. And my wife at this time is like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, trust me. Please trust me on this. Because if we stay here in Mississippi, not only is it going to be terrible for the kids, this is a dead end. And trust me, I have a feeling about Kansas City. And when I got here, this is home.
Right.
This is so home. And I'm so glad they talk, who's it, Steve Harvey that says, make the jump. Yeah,
yes.
Make the jump. Right?
What a great analogy.
Make the jump. I made the jump. I could have crapped out. I could have been homeless. My kids could have been fucked, but it worked out. And I got here for that $25,000 a year. And again, the hustle mentality came back. And I was like, look, his name was John, the program director there, John Zellner. I said, look, John, I can't live on this. I want every club gig that you guys can give me. I want every appearance at every club that you can give me that comes away. Yeah, the answer is yes. So shortly after, I was at a nightclub doing appearances Tuesday through Saturday. And I'd be there from 9 o'clock at night until midnight. And then I'd get done and I'd go to the radio station. I'd sleep for a couple of hours, get up, and then the show would start at 5 at that time. And I'd work until 10. And hustle. And then eventually, it became a very popular show. And
it was a great show.
Money came.
Rocket and Teresa in the morning.
Sure. And we're very, very successful.
How long was it on? I can't remember.
I think they're still doing it. They're still doing it. Yeah.
Rocket and Teresa are still on the radio together?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
I believe so.
I guess that just means I don't listen to the radio. I mean, I really don't.
Right.
I'm usually listening to a podcast or something.
Sure.
I wonder if they've noticed that in ratings, that the ratings went down because people like me throw in a podcast.
Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about their show in general? Or are you talking about radio in general?
Radio in general.
Radio in general is sure. The thing, here's what I'll say about radio and podcasts and things like that, is that there's a certain amount of people in the radio industry that have been there for a long time, like I have, and still have maybe a disillusion that people come to the radio for like new music. That was kind of the bread and butter For it's like, oh, that's where kids go to hear all the new music, and that's where they get hooked, and that's where they listen to the shows, right? But today in 2024, if you don't have a show that's about something, fuck the music.
They get their music from YouTube.
You get it from wherever. It's Spotify. I subscribe to Spotify and Apple.
Remember the days where you would just like sit there and listen to the radio trying to hear that one
you have
song?
Your tape.
Yeah.
And you have your tape.
You catch like, you missed the first 5 seconds of it.
And like, or the dumbass DJ would talk over it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I messed up my mixtape that I was going to give the girl that was thing.
Yeah.
But radio is still well and alive. It's just in a different capacity because you have to look at it like this. And this is fact. It is one of the most listened to mediums out there because it's still in everyone's car. Number one. Number two, it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. And people are able to still get in their car and hear what the hell is going on in their city, especially when there's something bad going on or whatever. You get that, right? But I think it was so important for certain shows like mine, the Ponch and Nikki show, which we were celebrating 6 years together this month, is that you have to adapt. And
Nikki Pace.
No, that's my friend too. But no, Nikki's on Johnny's show, Johnny Dare show. Nikki Vivas.
Okay.
Nikki Vivas. Okay. You need to get to know Nikki Vivas.
Okay.
She's spicy.
So is Nikki Pace.
I
love Nikki Pace.
Yes.
I mean, Nikki graduated from Pius in '93 with my sister.
Yep.
And I always liked Nikki Pace.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Her and her husband, Mike, he used to be my old boss.
So I say Nikki Pace. I don't know what her married name is.
It's Nikki Pace.
She go by Nikki Pace? She goes by her maiden name?
Yeah,
okay.
She goes by Nikki.
Oh, Nikki. Okay.
Yeah, on the Johnny Dare show. Shout out Johnny Dare.
Yeah.
Love you guys. I work with them. We're in the same building.
Okay. Yeah, Johnny Dare's fucking great.
He's awesome.
Johnny Dare, Steve St. John, I like him too.
He's good
funny
too. He's a nice guy.
He's fun, yeah.
Thing about Johnny Dare is that I don't know if there's probably some sort of perception. He's a biker guy and, he's a rough and tumble dude. All true. But also one of the most sweet and charitable and generous people I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy, if he likes you, he'll give the shirt off of his back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have several stories about Johnny Dare that I look at that man every morning when we're coming in the parking lot together, and I've seen some things that he does, especially, I don't want to give too much of it, but I'll just say this, that he had a dog that passed. And he would bring the dog in every day before Barger died. And he would Barger was old, so he would carry Barger out of his car and help him into the studio. And Barger would sit into the corner of the studio during the show. And he would carry him back out into his car. And he was so gentle with that dog. And, he's a kind soul. So there's some good people in this business.
Oh, for sure. Buddy of mine, Eric Lingenfelter, he's an orthopedic surgeon, is really good friends with Johnny. I think Eric may have operated on him.
Right.
And that's how he became good friends with him. But I've heard you're the second person who said that about Johnny.
Great guy.
He's the greatest guy in the world.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about him.
And so Nikki Pace is with Johnny Dare. Tell me Nikki's last name that you're with again.
Nikki Vivas.
Nikki Vivas. Okay, so it's Johnny Dare. Are you guys on the same radio station?
No.
They're
They're
in the same building, different
We work
station.
for the same company. We were for Odyssey.
Okay.
We were for Odyssey, which used to be Intercom, which used to be kind of CBS. It's all incestual, but yeah, we work in the same building. So Johnny's
and so what
on
station are you on?
99.7.
That's what Michelle said. She said, I think it's either 99.7 or 102. And I'm like, 102, I think soft rock. Is it still soft rock? 102.1?
It's the old building that I worked at. I don't know what they do.
Okay. And then what's your platform?
It's top 40, but again,
okay.
I mean, if you want to come to hear all the big hits, okay.
Right.
Outside of our show, I mean, we play some, but I mean, that's not what we do.
And then here, a lot of the big hits, quote unquote, I don't jive with it anymore. I just
Frank, how old are you now?
45.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you're getting up there.
Yeah. Are you younger than me or older than me?
Thank you. Podcast over. I turned 50 in April.
Okay. All right. So you're close to my wife's age.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so Johnny Dare's 98.9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 98.9 The Rock?
Yep.
Okay. He's, and so your guys, so the Rocket and Teresa, let's go back to Rocket, Teresa, and Ponch.
You really want to get on this, don't you?
Well, because that's really what I remember, and I've always wanted to tell.
Look, here's the thing, Frank. Let me say this. Much respect to those guys. Much respect to them. I haven't had a conversation with Rocket since 2016 when I left.
Right. Oh, that's when you left? Why not?
End of 2016.
And then you went and worked for Strange.
I went to work for Strange Music, Travis O'Gwen, Tech Nine. I worked there from 2016 until 20.
Okay. So what was, and I don't remember this because I was younger, and at that point in time in my life, I had so much going on, but you said you have to have a show that kind of has a theme. I don't remember a theme really to the Rocket and Teresa show.
It's a different time.
Okay, so you didn't need to have
It's a
that
different
back then.
time.
Got it.
That was before streaming.
Got it.
You know, YouTube was in its infancy.
So you guys could just get on there and talk about whatever back then.
Well, we
Because that's
did.
what it kind of seemed like. It seemed very arbitrary to me.
Yes, but it was more. Look, back then in the early 2000s, especially, again, people would come for the news and the traffic and the weather report.
Johnny Rollins.
And that, right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny and music and us having fun and the whole package of that. And people still do that with my show and theirs, but it's just different. If we're going to have longevity in this business, the show has to, our show, if you ask me what our show, the Ponch and Nikki show on 99.7 The Point, if you ask what our show is about, one thing, it's probably mostly about relationships. That's what we talk about. We joke and fuck around about everything. The only things that we really don't get into are politics and religion, because that just
They're
divides.
inflammatory.
That divides people. That's not our thing. There's plenty of, and that's funny to me too, especially with conservative news outlets. And I know for a fact that a lot of those guys get on there and that's their thing, but they're not conservative, or they're not that liberal. They're putting on a show.
Yeah.
Because
Bill Maher is the prime example.
Because they're getting people. I don't know Bill Maher, and I don't know what his politics are. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just saying that there are some that are putting on an act for people that are buying the act because that's what they want.
Right.
Our show's not that. We talk about relationships, and we talk about mainly our experiences in life. You have me, who's 50. My morning show partners, Nikki, and our producer, Matt, are in their late 30s. So when we have someone that will, write into the show and have a problem, then we take our collective experiences, give our opinion on it, and then we open up our airwaves and phones to people to give their experience and opinion.
So these are people calling in with relationship problems.
They call or they
write
or whatever. Sure.
And you see a common denominator with it?
We all don't know what the fuck we're doing. That's the common denominator. Yeah. We're all trying to figure it out.
Right.
We're all trying to figure it out. Just recently, I think this week, we had a dad write in. His daughter got pregnant.
How old?
I believe 16, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, right.
And he wants to homeschool his daughter. He wants to homeschool her and keep her home because she's due in like December. His wife said to him, and he quoted her, she made her bed. She's got a lie in it. She's going to school. So
why is she embarrassed to go? Because of the baby bump? Is that kind of what's going on?
The dad is.
The dad's embarrassed. The daughter's not.
Yeah. There was no opinion from the daughter in the letter. It was from the dad's perspective asking, is he in the right or wrong? So he's asking, can people because the thing is when you hear your problem presented to strangers that have no stake in your problem,
they could be more objective. There's no emotion. There's no emotion.
They're
involved.
not vested. They don't know you. So they just look at it for what it is. And most of the people said, Dad, you need to sit the fuck down. You need to ask your daughter what she wants to do. And also, it's probably not healthy for her just to be at home hiding from her life.
Well, and at the end of the day, the other thing that it's
common, by the way.
What dad is saying and what daughter is hearing can be very different. Because if daughter very well could be hearing, Dad's embarrassed and ashamed of me.
Exactly.
That could be what daughter is hearing.
It's like, oh my God, my dad's ashamed of me.
Yeah. Which, I mean, here.
Listen, she could. I don't know.
Listen, I mean, I got I got girls, and I love my girls. There's not anything they could do to make me not love them.
Same.
There's not any. Do I want that for them? Fuck no.
You know, as a dad, I'm glad you brought this up, because as a dad, all we're looking at, as far as me, and I know you do too. You just want your girls, especially, to have it easier than you did, and the path to be
Ponch,
a little
I had a baby
bit.
at 16.
I know.
And a Catholic school in the 90s.
So you want it to be a little bit easier. That's what you want. So if one of your kids gets pregnant, it's not that you don't love or hate. You're just disappointed that maybe you didn't do a good enough job to prevent that happening. But the reality of it is, it's out of your control.
It is out of your control. But as a father, I would take that as an indictment on me.
Yeah, of course.
I would take that as an indictment on me. Now, are there girls out there that have fantastic relationships with their daughters, that their daughters still have premarital sex? Yes.
Yes.
I mean, let's fucking face it.
Of course they do. You're delusional if you don't think your kids are having sex. I'm delusional.
Right, but you don't want them to be what I'm saying, promiscuous versus having sex. Are you following what I'm saying?
It just takes one time.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I don't want, like, let's say my daughters are 16 years old and they got a boyfriend.
Right.
Okay. And they've had this boyfriend for a while.
Right.
Okay. Now, am I going to condone sex? No. Absolutely not. Is it a possibility that happens? Yes, it is a possibility. What I don't want is, I got a daughter that meets this guy at this part. I don't want to know about it for sure. But I got a daughter that meets this guy at this party and has sex, and then meets this guy at this party and has sex, and then meets this guy in this locker room and has sex. Sure. And next thing you know, they're getting passed around by that's the difference between, premarital sex and promiscuity.
But also, that's from a father's perspective. And I also, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Let's take the kids out of it. And let's talk about maybe when we were older.
That's what gives you anxiety.
And you run into the girl that was kept in the high tower. You had the girl that had the strict dad, and then she goes to college.
Right.
And typically, not all girls, but typically those girls that have been locked away
go crazy.
Are the ones that are going fucking nuts.
Yes.
They're going through a mile of cock.
Yeah. You're right. Fuck me,
and it's because of mom and dad put their fucking thumb on them too hard.
No, you gotta give them leeway, and you gotta give them space to fuck up.
Look, you give them expectation. I'm talking for me. It's like, this is what I expect, and I'll love you no matter what. But this is what I expect from you, and hopefully you can do that. And here's my bigger point to this: is that I've raised 6 kids, 3 of my own. 3 stepkids, all beautiful, all wonderful. They were all raised pretty much the same way, almost with the same values. Guess what? They're all fucking different.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of them.
Me and my siblings. And here, we were very fortunate in that we came from a nuclear family. My dad and mother never divorced. My dad was always home.
Right.
Okay. My mom, we were in church.
Sure.
There was zero turbulence to my upbringing.
Yeah.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up with we found out the girl was pregnant. I was 15. The baby was born when I was 16. My brother Andrew had a drug problem.
Yeah.
He went to rehab for 60 days.
Sure.
It's like,
but that doesn't make you bad people, though.
No. I'm not indicating that. I'm just saying, you wouldn't think when you hear those problems that they came from a family as upright as mine was. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You're thinking those kids came from a family whose dad wasn't involved with them and didn't. And honestly, now that you look at me and my brother, you could see exactly how much my dad influenced us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he influenced us a ton. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see it, but but he 100%. We're both very much like him.
Mm-hmm.
We're both very much like him, very much different, but very much like him.
Right.
Him and my mom.
I get you.
And it's here at the end of the day, the kids, they don't come with a book.
No.
And I talked to my buddy Michael, because my buddy Michael Sansoni has a fantastic daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just she's pretty as she is, sweet. And I said, Mike, how did you do it? And he just said, he goes, I got lucky. A lot of it's just getting lucky. I mean, yeah, you raise them a certain way. Sure. But there's plenty of kids who are raised a certain way and become prodigals and go through a phase and do all the wrong shit.
But at the same time, and what you're saying is right. But at the same time, I know women that came up just like I did without parental guidance, without structure, without families like you had that really cared, really loved you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're some of the most prim and proper women I've ever met in my entire life because they didn't want to be like their parents.
Right. And you see
that was their rebellion is like, I'm not going to be a fuck up like my parents.
Right.
So I'm actually going to get my life together. So it goes back to we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Any of us. We're just trying our best.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I have an incredibly open and honest relationship with my kids. Gianna's now 13. You know, Ross Joseph's 26. Me and him talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
of course.
Yeah. But you know, Gianna, we've had to have the conversation about the birds and the bees.
Sure.
Girls at school are talking. They're saying shit. Sure. You don't know what they're talking about. You know, and I told my wife, of course, here, you have to handle this.
Right.
Right. You know, you got to handle this. And then eventually I said, okay, I have to address this with her.
Yeah.
You know, and Gianna, you know, just told Michelle basically, hey, listen, I'd rather you talk to me about it. You know, it's not comfortable. But here, I want her to know, listen, you talk to me about whatever.
Right.
You know, you could trust me, you're going to have to come up with some crazy shit to do something that I haven't done.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
That's all you can, in hindsight, you know, that's all you can do in hindsight, because I was far from a perfect dad, that's for sure. But I tried, and it was to keep that line of communication open with them and don't chastise them to the point to where they can't come to you. That's the big thing I've learned is just keep it open for them, because now, man, I feel for parents now, especially you, because my oldest is going to be 30. You know, I had Stormy when she was 20.
Right.
When I was 20. Social media wasn't really a thing. TikTok wasn't a thing. You know, all of that wasn't really that much of a thing. Now they have access to everything.
My kids don't have phones. My 13-year-old doesn't have a phone.
No phone.
I won't give it to her. She's got a watch that she can call people that I program in.
Okay.
That's it. And I could track her on it.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't giving her a fucking phone.
For her friends have phones.
All of them.
Then she has a phone.
Yeah, they all have phones.
They all have phones. That's what I'm saying. There's the access you can't, and which, by the way, I don't disagree with what you're doing there, but I'm just saying her friends have the access. So if she so chose, she could be like, "Hey, can I borrow your phone and let me look up whatever?"
Right.
They can look up whatever. So I feel for parents like you in this generation, because it's like you really have no control. You can just hope for the best.
Well, and now you got, I mean, even pornography. I mean, it's just at the tip of their fingers.
Right.
And the crazy thing
is, that's kind of what I was talking about.
I didn't realize how there are so many people that I have come in contact on this podcast that have struggled with porn addiction. I've been addicted to a lot of shit.
Me too.
Porn hasn't been one of them.
No.
I mean, I never really cared. You know?
No, I mean, I look at porn to this day, but, you know, I do know people that have had a problem with it. You know, when it starts getting in the way of everyday life, or I've run into people that start, and this is the real problem for kids, is that they don't understand that all the porn that's being put out there is it's not all real.
Very little is real.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the big problem, I think, with the married couple is husband or wife, whoever,
watches the porn
and then wants to go try that shit with their significant other, and their significant other's like, what? No, that's not. I mean, it's just, you know,
And the wife turns into a dolphin. Wrong hole.
Right.
Ah, come on.
That's not it.
That's not it. That's not it. But no. It's like, look, it's like everything else. It's just like too much of anything is a bad thing. But yeah, that's one thing to where your kids can get a hold of that and they can see some stuff. I was listening to an interview with Billie Eilish. You know who Billie Eilish is, right?
If it sounds familiar.
Billie Eilish is a huge artist, and Billie talked about when she was younger, she started getting into porn, and it led her as a teenager getting into some really dangerous relationships with some hardcore like BDSM, S&M. I mean, very hardcore, advanced things, and there's nothing wrong with those things. If that's what you choose to do, but she was exposed.
Consensual, I guess.
Sure, but and some people are very attracted to that lifestyle, and that's fine. But
BDSM bondage. Tell me what it means.
Sure, I don't know. Whips and chains. But for kids though, they don't understand exactly all it is, and that may be the first video that they run across and think, well, I guess that's what that is. Instead of just progressing into maybe this is what I like, maybe I just like this or whatever.
Right.
So there's a lot of falseness in porn, I think, that gets kids off, like you said, off to the wrong. They're thinking the wrong way necessarily of like a real loving relationship or even just a casual relationship is not a porn.
No.
But also, sometimes it is.
Right. Sometimes you get lucky. Maybe it's your birthday.
Or you meet the right one.
Right. Right.
But that's not always the case.
No.
It's usually the exception, not the rule.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. No, I agree. So
do you guys watch porn?
Who?
You and your wife.
Uh-uh.
You don't watch porn? You ever watch porn together?
You know what, Ponch? At one time, a buddy of mine sent me a video.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a sexy porn. It was one of those ones that your asshole friends send you because it's borderline gross.
Two girls, one cup.
Something like that. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, one of those.
Yeah.
And we were just like, ugh, we turned it off. But no, but here, now you got me thinking, why? It could be kind of fun.
It's fun.
It could be kind of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you why, because at least for me in the relationship that I'm in now, it's nice to be able to see. It's like, all right, what are you into? What turns you on? And it's reciprocal. It's like, okay, what are you into? What do you like? And believe me, it's a little scary going, well, this is kind of what I'm into. She's like, what do you watch? I was like, fuck. Here we go.
Yeah.
And it's fine. For our relationship.
I've never thought about it.
For our relationship, it's fine. And it doesn't mean, for me, anyway, I'm just speaking clearly for me. Just because I'm watching that, because I'm an adult and I've had a lot of experiences in my life, I don't look at those actors and actresses and go, I want that more than the relationship that I'm in.
Here,
I look at it like, wow, maybe that sexual position that's kind of hot and that's kind of cool.
Won't pull my hamstring on that one.
Sure. I was like, there's no way I'm doing that.
Here, but my wife, like, I could see a pretty woman.
Yeah.
And it makes me desire my wife.
Exactly.
It does. I mean, and I don't, Michelle's my one and only. I have no problem saying that.
For sure.
And if I see a pretty woman, that just makes me want my wife. Now, with 3 kids all upstairs, sex is, you know how
I get it.
is. Yeah.
Been there.
So let alone turning on porn.
Sure.
But,
I'm a little later in life.
Yeah, your kids are older.
Yeah, they're all.
You can just turn it on the TV and turn the volume all the way up.
Yeah, we'll get the iPad, sit down and turn something on. And I mean, and again, it's not like an every time to get in the mood.
Maybe you're looking
thing.
for something new to do.
Yeah, but it's like it's like once in a blue moon, it's like, want to look at porn? Yeah, why not? Let's check it out. And then we'll look at it. It's kind of like going, want Thai tonight? Sure. I haven't had Thai in a while. Let's go. But it's not like a daily thing. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, all right, cool. And then because we are secure in our relationship, it's fun. to be able to go, oh, that's what you like. That's nowhere close to me.
Right. Right.
That dude is nowhere near me. That's
Right.
fine. That's what you like. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're human, and that's fine. That's fine. That for me, that's the ultimate goal, is to find a relationship to where you can be completely honest about yourself and be relaxed. And it's okay. Everything that you're into is, I mean, you're not breaking the law. You're not doing
at
anything
the end of the day,
freaking weird. It's like, okay, this is who you are. This is who I am. And if you can find somebody that can accept that, it's a pretty cool feeling.
I think, if I were to, I could probably speak for my wife in this case, but, outside of introducing someone else into the bedroom,
yeah,
we're probably pretty much game for whatever.
Yeah, I know. And that's weird. I'm not there. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I have not thought about it. And maybe I've thought about it, bringing like another girl into the bedroom.
She were to be like, hey, Frank, you want to bring a girl? I'm not going to tell her no.
Right. Bring another guy. And then I'm no. And then I'm like, no. I'd like to think, I'm sitting here talking, I'm so fucking open-minded, but it's just like,
no.
Because I start going down the rabbit hole of just like, man, and that's where insecurity comes in. And it's nice to it's nice to at least have those conversations.
Yeah. You can, listen, I know my wife.
Right.
And she would never in a million years allow another woman to put her hands on me.
Right.
She would that's
a no-go.
It's just not happening.
Right. It's not in.
And here, I'll be very honest with you. I have mixed emotions. I don't part of me is like, that would be super fucking hot for another girl to put her hands on my wife. And then there's that other 50% of you that's like, I don't want anyone touching my wife.
That's right. Because you love her.
Right. You
love her and
I would be incredibly torn.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
I would be incredibly torn if my wife came to me and said, I want to bring another woman into the bedroom. I would be incredibly torn. I would be like,
because it sounds super hot.
And here, any male listening to this that isn't following what I'm tracking is lying. They're fucking lying.
They are lying because it sounds super hot.
Now, my mom listens to all my podcasts, and she's going to be this, you pig, and she'll call me.
I didn't know
Frankie?
your mom was. Okay,
I'm
so sorry.
Fine. No, listen, she's heard it all. But she'd be like, Frankie, don't you? And I'm like, here, listen, at the end of the day, this is very much hypothetical. Right?
Yes, of course.
It's very much hypothetical, but I'm just saying if my wife were to do that, I would be incredibly torn. Mm-hmm. Incredibly torn.
Yeah, because then what? Then what? I mean, is it a thing? Is it a one and done?
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Is it a thing?
Because it's not like you're not going to like it eventually. I mean, you're going to, I don't know. That's a tough call.
I've heard both. I've heard, do you know what a throuple is?
No.
Oh.
What's a throuple?
Oh, it's three people. It's not just a threesome. It's a relationship.
Oh, fuck that. No way.
No.
Who wants two pain in the asses?
I know. But I know a lot of people in throuples.
Really?
A lot.
And does it work good? So when we say throuple, it could be two guys and a girl or two girls and a guy.
Correct.
What are most of them?
Most of them are usually it is two girls and a guy. Usually. But sometimes that girl is more bisexual for women than straight.
So she just, what she's doing is fucking with the guy just to get to the girl. Most of the time is what's going on. Yeah, sometimes. But sometimes there's throuples that I know that have, man, they're more functional than a lot of married couples I know. And they do they have kids and shit together? Some do. So I'll tell you a story. Me and Michelle, Ross Joseph turned 21 years old. We went to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Took him and some of his buddies to Vegas. They wanted to go to the Bear Pool because none of the girls wear tops. Mm-hmm. Well, hold on. I shouldn't say none of them. But there's an option for the girls to take their tops off if they want to take their tops off. So we're like, here, fine, we'll go to the Bear Pool. Big deal. I get the cabana, whatever. Yeah. There's 3 different people that came up to Michelle and I wanting to swap. Yeah. 3. I could not believe this. Very normal looking people. Well, sure. Very, had kids, the whole thing. One guy was so pushy with me. I started to get a little aggravated.
Yeah, pushy's not the right move.
Well, I finally just said, here, I'll tell you what, buddy. First of all, I said, where's your wife? Because I want to see what I'm working with, right? You know, just to know. Because I got a dime over here, right?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
I got a dime.
Your wife is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so here, let me see what you're working with. So he shows me her, and she's not my wife, not even close to being close.
Mm-mm.
And he keeps going and going. I said, I'll tell you what, buddy. Now, my wife has no idea me and this guy are having this conversation.
Of course.
None. I said, I'll tell you what. You go over there and you talk her into it. You talk her into it, and I'll do it. So what's he do? Dumbass that he is. So all he had to do was go sit next to her. She looked at him and she couldn't get over to me fast enough. I'm like, now, will you please leave me alone? But this happened like, it was a swingers pool. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And here I got my 21-year-old. And he's getting aggravated. I'm like, Ross, she's with me. Relax. Trust me.
That's fine.
Trust me. No one's putting their hands on her.
You realize you don't have to go to Vegas for that, right? Like, Kansas City is like a big, big swinging community.
I have no idea.
Big. I'm not a part of that community, by the way, but there is a large number of swingers here.
Where do they go?
You know what I can say? Because we had this topic the other day. And again, there's a couple of people that go there that are like, they just go there for the music, and they're like, it's not. But a lot of other people said otherwise. Touche's?
I thought that was a gay joint. The place out south?
Yeah.
At the swingers club?
According to our listeners that go there,
okay,
they say yes.
I thought that was an older crowd.
I used to go there.
Well, my buddy Sammy works there. He's a bartender there.
Well, ask. Because we had a lot of people call and say, yes, that is a swinger club. I'm not saying it is or not. I'm just going off of what people said. So I don't know if it is or
and that's
not.
out in Overland Park, right?
But I used to go there because they'd play the old-timey music.
Yeah.
And then I'd go dance with like the grandmas or whatever.
Yeah.
And whoever was with it, we'd go and have a good time and laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have a couple of drinks. And it was kind of like it was a mixture of going to the cigar box and in a retirement home.
Right.
No offense. But that's kind of what it was, and it was fun. And that was like 15 years ago. I haven't been there in a long, long time.
Could have changed. It was about 15 years since last time I've been there.
And then it got brought up somehow, and we're like, oh, yeah, I go there, and it's a swingers club. But it's very common.
There's more than one?
From my understanding, there's a few. And they're underground. Some are not. But that's their lifestyle, though, and I respect that. I really do. Because I've met swingers that have a very, very healthy, normal marriage and relationship. It's just different than what I know or what I'm about. That's not my thing.
Well, I think it's just
not my thing.
Look, I think those folks probably went into the relationship as swingers.
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
They transitioned to that.
Correct.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
Correct.
I can't even kind of wrap my head around that.
Correct.
And I like to think, when it comes to trying new things, that I'm pretty cavalier.
Mm-hmm.
But just like I said earlier, if my wife were to come to me with another girl, I would be incredibly torn.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Incredibly torn.
Because you want it to be hot, but also you don't want it to get in the way of your marriage, and you don't want it to become a thing.
And it's not like that. I don't know that I would.
You might be jealous.
100%.
Maybe she does it better than you.
Right.
Maybe she's gonna leave you for this other guy or this other girl.
Right.
And then
would never be another guy.
And then where are you at?
That's out of the question.
Right. But I'm just saying, where are you at? Look, I've experienced and seen a lot in this world, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, and you're in that environment more as being in radio, and
it's not necessarily radio or the entertainment business. Is that I just get an opportunity to meet a lot of different lifestyles and people and groups of people. And the common denominator out of all those people and these people and us, and it goes back to the thing, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're just trying to figure it out. That's it. They just have a different way of living their lives and being fulfilled. And it seems odd and alien to some people, and others it's just like the way you live. Right. Seems odd and alien.
Here, they may be thinking, how do you stay with one girl the rest of your life and don't add anything to it?
Sure. They may look at you and just like going, I don't know about that.
Right.
Or me, especially. I look like a freaking alien, I'm sure, with my lifestyle, if you really get into it. It's not for everybody, that's for sure.
Right.
But I'm with you though. I'm open to people doing whatever they want to do as long as no one's getting hurt. Make yourself happy. But for me though, I like being with one person.
Yeah.
You know, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That makes me
Here, I was
Go
incredibly
ahead.
promiscuous as a young man.
Mhm.
I never thought that I would be happily married. I wouldn't trade being married for nothing.
Yeah.
I love being married.
Yeah.
My wife is my best friend.
It's awesome.
I love being married. I do not deserve her.
You can tell. I think the last time I ran into you guys was like in a Waffle House, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got a chance to see you guys for a little bit. You didn't know I was there. And it's like, you can just tell the chemistry, even though you've been married for a long time, the chemistry is just, it's like, oh, fuck.
I'm more
they look
attracted
great.
to her now than I was first time I ever was with her.
I believe that.
I am. I'm more attracted to her now.
I believe
And I
that.
was I met my wife. I knew her. She was at Rockhurst College playing volleyball. It was Rockhurst College back then. And I went up there I was a freshman in high school. My wife's 6 years older than me. I was a freshman in high school. So I was 14. She was 20.
How hot?
And I was like, this fucking blonde. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? She didn't even know who I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was just, so after she went through her divorce, I'm like, please let me run into her. Right. And then here, literally, I ran into her and it's like, hey, I'm Frank. You don't know me. You're having my child. That's kind of really how fast it went.
Was it instantaneous? Was it
100%?
Nice.
It was immediate.
Nice.
It was immediate. So, there was a little bit of rocky first start because I wasn't used to taking anyone into consideration. I was single my whole life.
Mhm.
I had a girlfriend when I was 15.
Yeah.
And then I had a girlfriend on and off when I was in my mid 20s. It was fucking miserable.
Sure.
But I'm so glad I had that relationship because it showed me exactly what I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
It was so important. And I don't begrudge it. I don't begrudge
Sure.
her. I have no ill feelings toward her, but it showed me exactly what I did not want in a relationship. And honestly, I think going through that is what makes mine and Michelle's relationship as successful as it is. Just because, I flat out told her, hey, listen, this is the shit that I am not going to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but after the first year and me, I was in 30, it's still pretty young.
Yeah.
And especially for a guy that, didn't, never had been married, lived with a roommate.
Yeah.
Never took anyone into consideration. And so there was some adjusting period, but
Good for you. You didn't get married until you're 30 first time.
33.
33. Good for you.
We started dating when I was 30.
My God. Look at you.
Oh, I would have been divorced. I was such a degenerate in my 20s.
Yeah.
Just a complete fuck up. The only thing I did right was stay in school. Everything else was fuck up.
I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at it. I don't look at any of how you doing? Good. Did we run out?
No, he has to reset the camera every 30 minutes.
Oh,
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I wasn't very good at relationships. And I think I'm starting to. And I don't look at any of the relationships that I've been in as a mistake. I look at them as lessons. And I know I've learned a lot, kind of like what you're saying. It's like I know exactly what I will tolerate and what I want and what makes me happy now. But I just started the process from a really not good place from my childhood and seeing an example of abuse, like really bad physical abuse, not only between from the parents to the children, but back and forth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I say abuse, I think you and I kind of come from the same place. We're not talking about getting spanked and
no, you're getting the shit kicked out of you.
Correct.
Yeah.
When you're getting hit with bed slats and, raw hamburger meat that was frozen, thrown at my head, knocked me out. Those are some of the lighter ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the place I came from as far as what an example of a relationship.
Of trauma mentally.
Correct. So, when I got into my relationships in my first marriage, I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just thought, well, okay, we're going to figure this out. And I'm going to work really, really hard at work. You know what I mean? And provide for my family so that way they're not going to do without like I did. And I'm sure is not going to chase them around the house and beat the shit out of them. I'm not going to do that. I know that. But I didn't know how to be a good husband at all. I didn't know how to be a good husband. You knew how to be a
good dad. You didn't know how to be a good husband.
Correct. Yeah. I was shitty. I was not good. And you learned
how to be a good dad by deducing you didn't know what you wanted to be. You knew what you didn't want to be.
Correct. And then, and through my relationships throughout the years, I wouldn't consider myself a great husband, great provider, great dad. But, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And of course, that's a two-way street. But I feel like right now, I feel like I know exactly what I want, what makes me happy. And back to the whole, bringing other people into a relationship or whatever. I'm a commitment guy. I like being with a person, and that's it. And it's our world. The person I'm with right now, it's nice that we have our own world, and we have, let's just say, we have similar backgrounds. And she is my best friend.
Yeah.
She is my best friend. And we don't have secrets, and we tell each other everything, no matter how uncomfortable or whatever it is about our past and, our thoughts and all that. And it's just nice that I know that that's solid for me.
Oh, for sure. Now, you struggled with addiction.
Struggled?
Yeah. It's an understatement.
I burned the fucking house down.
Yeah.
Come on.
So what were you using?
Well, in my let's just say in my life, like you said, I dabbled in everything, especially like in the 90s. The 90s when, being in radio and the entertainment business in the 90s, and people were just like, you got drugs for free? Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Cocaine, ecstasy. It was all available. It was all free. And and I really didn't have necessarily a problem with those. It was booze.
Booze was your deal.
Booze was my deal. And I started drinking.
No one really gets addicted to ecstasy. It's all as cool as it is. Yeah. Nobody really gets addicted.
And I was doing the hardcore shit in the 90s. It was that H-bomb. It had heroin in it.
Yeah.
But it was booze. I started drinking, I think, when I was 6, 7, when I first started having drinks. And then, as you got a little bit older, Christmas time, I grew up in a Catholic. So like Christmas before Mass or whatever, then, Crown got brought out and it was like, oh, we get Crown and Coke on Christmas Eve. Okay, great. And I was pretty much a functioning alcoholic through my teens, 20s. And there would be good periods of not drinking or not doing drugs. And then there were wild weekends where I didn't remember and things. Obviously, I look back and I was like, I regret, and I wish I did not do those. Then it just progressed, and I was just working and working, not working on my relationship and not working on me, but I was working to pay the bills and take care of the kids and drinking. And then the pandemic hit.
God, that pandemic fucked people in so many ways.
The pandemic hit. And I'm not blaming the pandemic for my alcoholism, but you better believe it accelerated it a lot, because I went from working 16 hours a day. I was doing a radio show and I was working at Strange Music. So I didn't have time to really drink all the time. Not like my body wanted. Then I stopped working at the record label and I was working 4 hours a day. And I had the whole day to myself. The world was shut down. And on top of that, everybody was drinking.
Right.
And in my head, I was like, oh, great. Everybody's on my side now. This is awesome. And there were a lot of demons that were popping their heads up in current and past. And it just got to the point to where I would say this time last year, if I was pretty close to death. I was pretty close to death. Toward the end, before I went into rehab in September.
Did you put yourself in rehab?
No. Well, there was an intervention. There's definitely an intervention.
Family members came to you?
Well, we talk about whose family. My morning partner, Nikki Vivas, is my sister. the lady that I'm with, Naya, those two broke into my townhouse because they thought that I had killed myself at that point. I was off the rails. I was drinking close to a gallon of vodka a day.
How would you go to work on? Because you start work super early, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the whole trick of it, isn't it?
And you were able to do that on the radio?
For a while. Then it catches up. But the disease is a progressive disease, Frank. It's like it doesn't go away, and it only gets worse. Like I tried all the things like, oh, I'm just going to drink wine, or I'm just going to drink beer, no shots, or I'm just going to drink on Saturday or Friday. Rationalized all of it, and and then, fast forward to I've dealt none of my problems from childhood up until that point, and I've been using alcohol, and now I am full-fledged, physically and mentally addicted to this thing, to the point to where I remember it was like a few weeks before that point, to where I'd run out of booze, and I was going to the convenience store, and I waited for, and that was another thing too, because of the pandemic, they started selling liquor like all the time, or at least at like 5 a.m.
And you could take the shit with you from the restaurant. And,
sure.
Yeah.
But I remember a time that I was in a Quick Trip, and it was like I'd been out of booze the night before, and my hand was shaking so badly, I couldn't get my debit card into the machine to pay for the vodka. My hand shook so bad because I didn't have booze in my system, and I ran out. I sat in the parking lot and waited for them to say, okay, we're selling booze. I think it was 5 a.m. And I was trying to put my card in and couldn't get it in. And I remember looking at the clerk, and he just had this look, this kid, and he just looked at me and he goes, sir, I'll do that for you. And he grabbed my card and put it in. And then, I took that vodka home and then drank it. And then I was better. I'm fine now. I'm perfectly fine.
Did you realize at that point that you were physically addicted to it?
I had realized it a few times before, but that's one of the times that I really stuck out in my head. And it's just like, oh man, this sucks. And then you're on. Now you're on. Okay. You don't want that feeling anymore.
So you're just going to keep drinking.
You got to keep going. So, I'd get to work early in the morning, take a shot. I had a stash at work, take a shot during the show, get off the show. I tried to quit drinking on my own. It got to the point where I'd like do Zoom AA meetings after the show because I tried to quit drinking and failed and told everybody I quit drinking and felt an incredible amount of shame. So after my Zoom AA meeting that ended at 11 o'clock, I would go right to the liquor store, buy a fifth or a gallon of vodka. Minutes after I said, well, it works if you work it, guys. All right, cool. See you tomorrow. And then go get hammered. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And Nikki and Naya, those two, did an intervention because they thought that September 18th was the day I was on the air and not in great shape at all. And I left. I left the show early, and I told my partner then, I was like, I don't want to be here. Like on Earth.
Right.
I don't want to be here.
Listen.
So they, let me get it out because it's hard for me to get out. And I haven't told the story but once or twice. They were there and they were like, look, we've called a place. There's a bed open, but you have to go now. You have to go like right now. I was like, okay. So they drove me to Atchison, Kansas to Valley Hope. Valley Hope.
So
I spent a month there.
You didn't argue with them?
At that point, no. Because these are two people, and these are not the only two people that love me in life, but these were two people that I love very, very much, and I know that they love me. And it was more than I could bear to see the sadness in their eyes.
Yeah.
I couldn't, and maybe it was because I was so exhausted, and I was just fucking tired. I was just tired at that point. I was tired of running the fucking hamster wheel. And they'd already done all the hard work of calling the place and getting it done, getting it set up. They were going to take me, but I had to go then, And I certainly wanted to quit drinking, but the time before that I quit, on my own. The shakes were so terrible. I tried to do it on my own. And then the doctor was like, you could have died. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Alcoholism, I knew, is one of the only withdrawals that is life-threatening.
Can kill you.
Not even heroin.
Because you can seize out.
Yeah.
You can have a seizure.
Yeah, not even heroin. Now you feel like you're going to die withdrawing from that heroin, other stuff, but
alcohol you actually can.
Alcoholism and I think benzodiazepines, which is your Xanax.
Yeah.
I think those are life-threatening too. But I knew alcoholism was one of the only ones that's life-threatening.
So the first time I quit.
So what do they do for you when you're going? Because that withdrawal had to be fucking horrible.
It's horrible.
And what are the symptoms of the withdrawal? I don't mean to keep interrupting you.
No. Ask all the questions you want. What time are we at here?
3. Oh fuck yeah, man. We started.
How much time?
I got as much time as you want.
What time is that?
3:30 right now.
3:30. I got to leave in like 10.
All right,
for sure. Hard 15.
Okay.
What was what was your question again?
The symptoms of the withdrawal.
Symptoms of the withdrawal is without rehab. You're talking about on no medication whatsoever. You're quitting cold turkey. I was on the couch for probably a good 72 hours. Throwing up, hallucinating, shaking.
Hallucinating, legitimately seeing shit?
Seeing things. I couldn't focus. I couldn't read the screen on my phone. I couldn't text. Shaking uncontrollably. And I just white knuckled that bitch and got it that way. But the problem with that.
So you're in Valley Hope doing it.
This is the first time that I tried to do it on my own.
Okay.
This is my point to this, is that I tried it on my own, white knuckled it, got through that, and then got sober. And it's like, okay, cool, I kicked this. No. Because quitting the drinking is just the symptom. The drinking is the symptom of what's
deeper
up here.
Yeah.
So when I got to Valley Hope, I went through a detox program there for about 48 hours. They put me on, I think, Valium or, made sure I had enough fluids. I think my blood pressure was like 240 over whatever. And they were like, I don't know how you're walking. Because I was also addicted to Adderall.
Oh, fuck.
Well, helps you drink more.
Right.
And I wasn't eating, by the way, too. Because that would fuck up my drunk or whatever. So I was popping, 60 milligrams of Adderall a day because I had to do a show, had to keep going. And it allowed me to drink, keep going. So anyway, I detoxed safely there. And then I started the real work of working on why the fuck am I drinking? And
what was your X factor, if you don't mind me asking? Was it the abuse?
It was. Yeah. Yes. The answer to it is yes, partly. My therapist said, you are a pelican, Ponch. You're a pelican. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Pelican is one of the only animals in the animal kingdom that will tear its own flesh off to feed everyone else until it dies. You've been taking care of everyone else your entire life except for you. You've been ripping off your own flesh for your entire life. You've never taken care of yourself. And that was pretty eye-opening, and that was true.
Sure.
That was true. Since I was a kid, I've been taking care of people up until that point. And I never focused on me or my problems. So I did. And as we speak, my sober year date is September 18th. So
feel better?
Almost. This is the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah.
If there's ever a testament, and look, you can do it, but it takes a lot of work. And it's different for everybody. So it's not like what I did is going to work for everyone. But I'm saying right now, I was maybe one of the most hopeless people I've seen. I've seen pictures and it's hard for me to look at. But I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And I have joy. And I wake up every day and I remember exactly what I said yesterday.
It's nice.
And I don't have regret. If I say something to you, I mean it.
Right. So.
That's nice.
What are your, did you follow like a 12-step?
Again, I am doing my own thing. Yes, partially, yes.
You still go to meetings?
No.
Good.
No. I talk to people in the program.
Yeah.
I talk to people in the program. If I get into a spot to where to where I'm having a hard time navigating something, usually it's about my own mental shit, and it's not about booze. I'll reach out to someone and they'll give me a good advice on it.
Yeah.
But the compulsion is no longer there. The addiction is no longer there physically. And I also know that it's always going to be here. Like, it's always waiting.
Oh.
It's always waiting, and it's always going to be there. It's always like,
and the problem is when it comes, if it, God forbid, were to come back, it's going to come back way stronger.
I'll be dead.
Yeah.
And I have that in my head. I know that all I have to do, by the way, I just don't have to take that first drink.
Yeah.
So that part's pretty easy.
Here, I'll be honest. I hardly ever drink. I very rarely do I ever drink. Normally it's when me and Michelle are out of town.
Yeah, but I'm assuming you don't have a problem with it. So it's like,
no,
that's what I'm saying.
No, honestly, Ponch,
you could crack up, but I'm saying you could crack open a drink right now. That's not going to bother me, and I'm not going to look at you like, well, shit, he's got a problem. No. I'm allergic to alcohol.
Right.
It makes me act like a jackass. It makes me not deal with any of my problems. And it's nice that I'm dealing with my problems as they come and all the shit. And I'm still working on it. Look, I'm still talking to
everyone's a work in
therapist,
progress.
and I'm still working on it, but I'm happy with the amount of progress that I've made. And I don't know. I'm glad to be here on Earth still.
Hey, listen.
That's it.
You know what? That stuff, I've seen it. I've seen it just destroy people. Not just booze, but just drugs in general. I've seen it. And, to me, it's demonic. It's very much demonic to me. That may sound silly to you, but I truly believe that. I just think there's a huge spiritual component to it, and which is why isn't the first step in the 12-step program to...
No, it's admitting you having a problem.
And what's the second one?
You're powerless.
Okay.
I mess them up. Sorry, 12-steppers. I'm messing it. But
I thought there was something where you had to admit that there was a higher power other than yourself.
Oh yeah, you have to believe in a higher power, but that's subjective as well.
100%.
Because that could be God, that could be Jesus, that could be Buddha, that could be this table,
the energy in the universe,
whatever works for you. It's fine. But that's the thing. It's like everyone has their own deal. When I was in rehab, people were addicted to a lot of different things.
Sure.
The fentanyl, which I was shocked because you hear the news stories about, a speck of fentanyl penetrated someone's skin and it killed you. I was in rehab with people that were taking 16 fentanyl pills a day.
Right.
And they're still alive. Right. Barely, but they're still alive. Yeah. And look, I like cocaine, what I've mentioned before, ecstasy, those things. I did them and it was fun. And then I put it down and it's okay.
That's kind of the way I was.
Booze, that's my girl.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
The other ones were just affairs.
That's that evil bitch that I just can't get out of my fucking system. And if I go back, then it's going to ruin my life. So
I was fortunate in that. I mean, here I did it way more than I should have as far as ecstasy, cocaine, alcohol. I did it way. Like here, Michelle actually kicked me out of the house while she was 9 months pregnant with Gianna.
Yeah.
She kicked me out of the fucking house. And so, but I still wouldn't consider myself ever been addicted because after that, I just quit.
Right.
And I never felt worse. I always immediately felt better. So I never had a withdrawal, nothing like that. So clearly I was never physically dependent like you were.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was just very fortunate. It was always kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing. But if it was in sight, I couldn't get it out of my mind.
Well, that's it. Well, that's it. This is the tricky thing about booze is that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's celebrated.
Yeah.
It's celebrated. It's on television.
Yeah.
It's there to uplift your spirits during the holidays or have a drink during dinner or someone graduated high school or it's this or it's that or it's what. It's all over the place. So my point to saying that is that for me, I had to deal with what was going on up here to be able to be around it all the time because it's always going to be around.
Yeah.
And it's fine with me.
So most people, I think, when you touched on this, they're failing a lot of times because they're trying to treat the symptom versus the actual problem.
Correct.
And alcoholism is the symptom.
Oh, I know a lot of dry drunks. Do you know what that is? Oh, dry drunk is someone who quit drinking and maybe has quit drinking for a long time. And they're the angriest fucking people you've ever met in your entire life.
Yeah, because they didn't fix the problem.
My God, they're angry and they hate life.
Yeah.
I've known one that ended up offing himself because of it. Sober.
Yeah.
But a dry drunk. Never dealt with
the
cause.
Yeah.
The cause of it. So anyway.
Well, here.
I don't know if this helped anybody, but hopefully it did. And
Oh,
I don't know.
for sure. For sure. Here, let me tell you something. Last time I had a guy on here that struggled with alcoholism. It was Father Mark Femulaner, and we had someone who watched reach out to me to get in touch with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, because he was struggling with alcoholism. So
All I'm gonna say, you can reach out if you can find me or whatever. I may, and it's not that I'm too good to respond. There's just a lot of people that reach out.
sure.
That's all. But I'll just say that, you know what I want to say? I want to say to people that are dealing with people like me and their families, because that's who I get the most from. That I get the most from reaching out from family members that are like, how did you do it? My dad, my husband, my brother is going through what you went through. You got through it. And I'll say this. It doesn't matter how many tears you shed. It really doesn't. That person in your life has to do it for them.
Yeah. They can't do it for you.
I had to do it for me and me alone. And it wouldn't have worked if I did it for anybody else. And that's it. You have to reach your own bottom of like, I'm done. And I want to do this. That's it. That's it.
We got about 8 minutes.
All right.
I want to talk about Strange.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. I'm a huge Tech Nine fan.
Okay. So am I.
I'm a huge Tech Nine fan. I actually got to meet him at a Nina Raylos. They got married, and Nina and Tech's wife are really good friends. And when we went to the wedding, we actually sat at the same table as him.
Mm-hmm.
What a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
What a sweetheart of a guy. And to watch his career evolve and how much better he's gotten at his craft as he's went by. But tell me what you did for Strange. What'd you do for them?
I was the executive vice president of their pop division at Strange Music. They were trying to launch a pop division, and they were signing some new exciting acts. And I would take them and travel around the country and introduce them to radio. I would also help them with different projects.
What artist?
It was Above Waves, Mackenzie Nicole, and there were a couple of others that we worked with. And I was there for, whatever Travis O'Gwen, CEO of Strange Music, gave me a great opportunity there.
Now, is he solely doing Strange, Travis, or is he? I thought he made a lot of money in the furniture business.
You know what? That's Travis' story to tell, but yes,
fair enough.
Look, Travis O'Gwen is a very, very smart individual. He did not get where he is today without having a gigantic brain. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. He's intense, but he taught me so many lessons about business and in life that I'll take to my grave that are just invaluable.
Sure.
Invaluable. And you'll have to say, there's an interview with, I interviewed Travis actually, kind of like this on YouTube somewhere. So just type in Ponch, Travis O'Gwen, Strange Music, and it's up there. And I think it's like a 2-hour interview, and it talks about his business model and what he does. But he's extremely smart. And I think he has several streams of revenue.
All of them do. And I say them, I'm talking about
if you've got
1%ers.
If you have one stream of revenue and you're really killing it, I mean, you're a unicorn, right? Honestly, nowadays.
Yeah. But most people with his kind of money they're making money while they sleep.
Correct.
They got passive streams of income. That's the key.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. But yeah, he's wonderful. Him and his wife and family are awesome. And Tech is, I think one of the most underrated lyricists of all time.
Here, I asked him, how the fuck are you still going to Lawrence and playing the Granada? I mean, why are you not selling out fucking T-Mobile or not? What's the Sprint Center? What's
T-Mobile.
The T-Mobile. Why are you not selling that out? He's like, he was very humble. He goes, I really don't know. He says, I can go to Denmark and play places bigger than the T-Mobile Center and fill it out. He goes, I can go to Holland. I can go to Amsterdam. I could go all over Europe, and I fill out those places bigger than the Sprint Center, and I can't do it in my own hometown. And he didn't. He was very humble about it. He just didn't fucking know.
And who does?
Yeah, I mean,
again, Tech Nine is not. It's not for everyone. You know what I mean? And I'm not. And I say that with the most respect that Tech has been so true to doing what he does best that not everyone understands it. So that may be why that it's not a Taylor Swift type of situation to where it's a universal kind of music.
Right.
But the people that do understand and love Tech are loyal as I am, and he's fantastic.
But he's incredibly diverse, I think. I mean, like, you listen to his music.
Yes.
He pulls beats from all kinds of shit.
Sure.
I mean, he pulls beats from New Shoes, Hall & Oates. I mean, so you could see that, this is a guy that didn't just grow up listening to rap music. This guy grew up listening to everything.
No. I mean, there's an album where they flew over to Paris and re-recorded "Strange Days" with the
Doors,
living members of the Doors.
Awesome.
Ray Manzarek and
Robbie
Krieger. And
I couldn't believe when I found out he was a Doors fan. I couldn't believe I didn't pick up on it, because there's so much influence in his music from the Doors. Choruses that it's like, man, I listen to that music now and I'm like, it screams the Doors. It screams the Doors. And Robbie Krieger, Ray Manzarek, he may be the best ever on the keys. Ray Manzarek may be the best ever on the keys. I mean,
he's one of the nicest people in the world.
You got to meet him?
I met him at the Grammys years ago in LA, and I'm a huge Doors fan. So when I had the opportunity to meet Ray Manzarek, it was funny because, well, not funny, it was sad in a way, because a lot of the radio people did not know who he was.
That's sad.
So it was like the week up to the Grammys. And they were bringing a lot of people, and I think Ray had a book or something going on, and a lot of the radio people were passing because they didn't know who he was. And I was like, we have fucking Ray Manzarek here. It's a living legend, yes. And the show that I was on at the time entertained it, and we were like, cool, we're just going to sit back and let you talk to him. And he was so gracious. And
did you get to meet John Densmore and?
No, they did. When they went to Paris, when Travis and Tech and Seven went to Paris, they got to meet them. But no, I didn't go on that trip, and that was before I was at the label. But it's kind of amazing. Some of the biggest artists that I've ever met are some of the nicest. There's very few. I'm not going to say who. There's very few that are just complete assholes and dicks. Most of the big artists are there for a reason. The big artists that have longevity are there for a reason. Because not only of their art and how they do it, but how they treat people and how they treat culture and how they respect it.
Yeah.
And my musical influence and taste is all over the place.
I'm diverse too.
But one of my favorite artists of all time is Taylor Swift.
Okay, so it's funny you're saying this.
And I've been a Taylor Swift fan for years. We're not talking in the last 4 or 5. I'm talking years.
So here, I was worn out with this fucking Taylor Swift.
Sure.
Worn out. I was tired of hearing about it.
You're dead. You had to buy fucking tickets to the thing.
So we're going to the daddy-daughter dance, and Gianna's going,
yes,
Dad, I want to get there. I don't want to miss any of the Taylor Swift songs. I'm like,
right.
Okay, Taylor Swift. So come Monday, I say, you know what? I'm going to listen to Taylor Swift. I've never, ever given her a shot. I'm going to listen to her. I listened to one of her albums in its entirety.
Remember which one?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Give me
Torture Poets Department is the last one?
Hold on.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
Was it Midnight's, the one before that? Is it Reputation?
Let me see if it's going to tell me
Fearless?
the name of the album. Lover,
yeah. It's one of my favorites.
I listened to Lover, the entire album. There wasn't one song I didn't like. Not one song I didn't like.
Not one.
A couple of them I played over. So
and she writes most of her material. She plays an instrument. She's an incredible performer. And on top of that, she's a great human being.
Yeah.
She is an awesome human being. I've had the opportunity to meet her 3 times now. And one of the times afterwards, I got a nice handwritten note from her, recalling everything that we talked about. Hope the kids are doing great. Whole thing.
Yeah.
And we sat back and we talked about music. And every time I've run into her, and one of the tours, I got a chance to. Her mom's around a lot, and her mom took us on a tour of the backstage and under the stage to show where Taylor, does her costume changes and all of that. And to see her on this stage now, and I haven't talked to her or seen her in years. It's been at least 6, 7. To see her on this grand scale makes me so happy and so proud. And she's still putting out killer. Check out the new album that came out in April. Torture Poets Department's one of my favorites. And then the whole love affair between fucking Travis Kelce and her. I love it. You know what? I talk a good game about Tech 9, threesomes, and blah, 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 blah. Also, I'm a fucking romantic.
Yeah. I mean,
I am so fucking in love with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce together. I love that shit.
You love the idea of it.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge Cheese fan.
Yeah.
Have been for a long time before both of them.
Right.
But I love it because I don't think we have enough in the media about things like that.
Yeah, you always hear about the separation.
Well, you hear that or the bad or they're just not good people or this, that, and the other. And you've got 2 incredibly nice people that are at the top of their game and all the world's looking at it. And there's a bunch of little girls like your daughter and millions others looking at it going, that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Look how he treats her. And look how she shows up for him.
Right.
And look how he shows up for her.
Right.
And that's important. That's an important lesson to show girls that you need a man that's going to fucking show up for you.
Yeah.
And you bet your ass Travis Kelce has shown up for her in a big, big way.
For sure.
So anyway, I'm a huge Swiftie.
My brother's a Swiftie, and now clearly I'm a Swiftie too now. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here, I don't want to take up anymore. I know you're busy. I know you got things to do. I thank you so much for being on here. I really, really appreciate it.
You guys have an awesome studio. This space is amazing.
So here, it is badass. Normally, so when Drew is here, he's the co-host. He's a captain on the fire department, KCFD.
Yes.
And so he got called into work. So I have the studio set up in my basement. So we do a lot of them in my basement.
Right.
And then when I'm solo, because I'm a tech idiot and can't start the fucking thing on my own, I come down here. Plus Dane, who you met, is partners with me in the podcast in the entity.
Right.
He partnered up with me and he's doing all the marketing for me. And so I'm we've had some pretty interesting people. This has been great.
Well, let me know how I can promote it. And I've got some things to promote as well. I'm working right now. I got greenlit for a reality game show. We're going to be shooting that, but we're in pre-production right now. And hopefully we're going to have that for the world in 25. And I'm working on a bunch of other things too.
Well, here, this is what I'll text you the link. It won't. So I had one drop today. The one I just did will drop next Friday. You'll drop the following Friday. Okay. So you'll drop 2 weeks from today. Yeah. And I'll send it to you.
Cool.
And then you can blast it on your social media.
Yeah, of course.
Talking about it on the radio. If there's anything that I can do for you on here, listen, on average, it's funny. I don't pay attention to anything but the YouTube. We get about 500 downloads a week. Mm-hmm. So that's 500 people sitting down watching it.
Nice.
Right. I don't know how many people also listen to it. I actually need to sit with Dane and kind of go over all that, but
he knows.
So fucking.
We talked before.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he knows.
Okay, I'm glad he knows.
He knows. So, I'm a nerd for all that shit.
Yeah. And so I look at my YouTube views and it's like usually, we get about, 400 or 500 downloads per podcast.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with that. I mean, I'm not fucking Joe Rogan, obviously. So, but 400 to 500 people.
You ever seen Joe Rogan's first podcast? Go watch it.
Yeah.
Type in YouTube, Joe Rogan's first podcast. It's way shittier than this. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's way shittier than this.
Yeah.
It didn't have lights. It was awful, but he kept up. He kept doing it.
You got to grind.
He kept doing it for years, and now he is the biggest podcaster on the planet.
Yeah. And honestly, like there's a lot of people that call and, you know, here I've had people come up to me. Like I was at the Morgan Wallen concert the other day and some lady came up to me. It's like, hey, I love your podcast. I'm like, Michelle goes, who was that? I go, I don't know who she was, you know, but I'm like, and people at the gym will come tell you they've been watching it. I don't know who they are, but you know, clearly I appreciate everyone watching it, but then there's critics, you know, and Michelle gets so mad. And I'm like, babe, they're going to watch the next episode too.
Look, Michelle, if your husband's not pissing somebody off, he's not doing his job. It's the fucking internet.
Yeah.
Troll away, bitches.
Yeah.
Look, keep doing your thing. I love this. I think you're doing something special here. So keep it up, dude. For real. And I'll support you. I got you.
Yeah.
You know how this community goes.
Yeah. I appreciate it.